Hey friends, Ash here with Gents, coming at you guys with a fragrance review today for this one right here. Low DC Shades of Kolam by Issey Miyake. Now this is one of their newer releases. I don't think it's out in the US yet. I actually ordered this from France back a number of months ago. Did a first impression on it, and I've been giving it more wear here lately where it's been very hot because this is more of a summertime release. In this video, I'll show you the presentation of the fragrance, which is actually pretty nice. And then I'll break this one down, let you guys know what I think about it, and let you know whether it's a fragrance that I think you should check out or not. So let's jump into this. All right, let's quickly check out this presentation. My box did get a little bit busted up in transit. I mean, did come from across the ocean. We got here the name of the house, name of the fragrance, size and concentration down at the bottom. Nothing doing at the top, nothing really on the sides other than the pictures from the front kind of fall over to the sides a bit there. On the back, you have some information on the fragrance as well as the ingredients down here at the bottom. And on the bottom of the box, you'll find your batch code. Batch code for this one is 0035EM as in Mary. And here you have the bottle. This is in your standard low DC bottle style. It's really nice looking, emphasizing that blue coloration. Again, more of a summertime fragrance, very fresh. One thing that I also like is the atomizer. It looks pretty small when you look at it through the cap. It's got a real tiny look to it. Then when you take the cap off, it's just normal size. It's probably just me. Nobody else cares about that. And then on the bottom, you'll find your badge code etched into the glass right there. And I'll go ahead and waste a couple sprays for you guys. As always, atomizer is great. Same as pretty much any of the fragrances in this line. One thing I have noticed with this bottle, which is probably just my bottle where it's been jostled around a bit, is when you spray it, some of the fragrance actually kind of comes out onto the atomizer itself. So I don't know if you can make that out or not, but the atomizer has lots of droplets of the fragrance. When I spray it, some of it just kind of comes out from right here where your atomizer fits down onto the nozzle and gets fragrance on it. While that's not a huge deal over time, that could wear off the coating on the atomizer and make it look not so nice. As I said, this is not available at discounters yet. Eventually it will be. I'll leave a link in the description to where I bought my bottle. And again, it had to come from overseas, and shipping is never gonna be super cheap when you do that. I'm gonna give you guys the note breakdown here really quickly. In the top as bergamot, grapefruit, and cardamom. In the mid as green tea and coriander. And then in the base, cashmere and cedar. And really, you could probably just put cashmere and ISOE super instead of cashmere and cedar, but official note breakdown, cashmere and cedar. Now, when I did a first impression of this fragrance, I was not really blown away. I thought that it was just kind of okay. And I'll let you guys know if my opinion's changed at all. So when you first spray this one on, again, bergamot, grapefruit in the top, you don't really get a big blast of citrus. So you might be thinking or expecting, I'm gonna get a big bunch of juicy citrus. You know, really bright, just in your face, very uplifting, but you don't. You might think maybe it'll be a little bit tart, you know, maybe a little bitter touch in there, like a throwback to the original low DC or something like that. You don't really get that either. It is fresh in the opening, for sure, but there's not quite as much citrus as I would like. As far as cardamom, you don't get too much of it. You get a little bit of green cardamom, like a fresh cardamom, not at all a sweet cardamom, and it doesn't really come across all that spicy either. It's just like a very small nuance of cardamom. There's not enough in here that you're really gonna smell it and be like, oh yeah, there it is. It's pretty hard to pick out. You do get a bit of green tea as it goes from the opening into the mid. The green tea though is kind of like a zingy, fresh green tea. It doesn't smell like an actual green tea. It's not really what I would consider either a calming green tea. It's just like this little like zingy interpretation of green tea. So in the opening, this one is more just fresh, almost like clean laundry fresh, almost, something like that. And there's also a good amount of cashmere and Issey Super, but especially cashmere. You pick that up right away. So it's this, again, fuzzy, warm, sort of modern note, and it's there right away. Pick it up right in the opening. It comes in even more as it dries down. It's not as forward with the cashmere slash Issey Super as something like Issey Miyake Low Major DC or Low Super Major. Like those have more of a cashmere and Issey kind of vibe than this one does, but it's still really noticeable with the cashmere, and there's a lot of it. So it's almost like you take, you know, this fragrance and you could kind of slot it in between a fragrance like Low Major DC and then one of Issey Miyake's more citrus forward fragrances. This one kind of fits in between. It's not really citrusy, and it is a lot of cashmere, but it's not as much as the Major fragrances. And that cashmerean is really the driving force behind this fragrance. The citrus is more a bit player, more of a nuance than it is a focal point. Again, it's not really a juicy citrus, which I would have liked. I would have liked a pop of citrus, whether it's a little bit tart or sweet, just something with a little more attention-grabbing oomph in the opening, because it lacks that a little bit. It kind of goes straight into this fresh, again, like reminds me of clean clothing kind of vibe, and then cashmere. I would have liked also maybe a little more green tea. Could have set things apart a little bit, and I do pick up green tea. It's just, as I mentioned before, it's this zingy kind of interpretation of green tea. It doesn't smell like a real green tea. It's like a synthetic green tea, and I don't mean that in a negative way. That's just how it smells. I don't really get too much coriander. Don't get a whole lot of spice in this one. Maybe just as a real, you know, a real fine dusting of it in the background, but not enough to really bring up past that. It's not something that many people are gonna smell really, and nobody's gonna fixate on it. There's not enough in here for anybody to care that much about the spice. It's just really just a dusting of it, like I said. So yeah, goes into cashmerean, stays pretty simple through the dry down. Not a whole bunch changes from the mid to the dry down. The most change you're going to get is from the opening into the mid, where you can start to pick up a little bit of that green tea. The citrus quickly fades, and again, it's not really all that attention grabbing, and the cashmerean comes in and kind of takes hold with Issey Super slash cedar underneath the cashmerean. Now, Issey Miyake is a house that I do like a lot. I think that they have great fragrances typically for really affordable prices. If we're talking discounters, especially their cooler weather fragrances a lot of times are very interesting and really well done, which is maybe a little bit unique because the house is most well known for Low DC, the original, which of course is a great summertime fragrance. It's a classic, a modern classic, lots of yuzu in that one, lots of citrus, but they seem to do cooler weather fragrances better than warm weather fragrances. Imagine that. Summertime releases, including summertime releases from Issey Miyake, a lot of times feel like there wasn't a whole bunch of effort put into the release. Most of the time it smells like they were made just to be inoffensive. So something easy to wear that you don't have to think about, but at the same time lacking a lot of originality or something to really draw you in and keep you coming back. And that's pretty much the problem with this one. It's not offensive at all. It is pretty easy to wear. It has that fresh, clean vibe to it, but it's not really very interesting. I was hoping this fragrance would be more unique. I mean, the note breakdown is not super complex or anything, but I was hoping the green tea would be more noticeable. The citrus would have, again, more depth to it, more richness, more sparkle. Whether tart or sweet, either way would have worked. But it just feels like there's nothing here to really draw you in, and also nothing to draw in those around you. It is easy to wear. It is passable. Warm weather, you could pull this off easily. Super easy. To the office, casually, on a night out, but it's just not something that I really care about. It smells okay. Doesn't really smell great. It's just okay. Now, performance-wise, not so good for me. Off skin for maybe 5 hours before it's really close to my skin. Projects best for the first 30 to 45 minutes, and even then the projection is not heavy. So overall, below average performance. I've worn this both in air-conditioned settings, like to the office, for example, and also outside when it was really hot, really humid. Didn't really seem to make that much of a difference as far as performance goes. Now, I know I said you could wear this on a night out, and technically you could, though for me it's more of a daytime fragrance, and this is more of a spring and summertime fragrance overall. It does lean more casual wear, obviously, than formal wear, because this is kind of just a like summer limited edition type scent. Best thing this has going for it, the bottle, pretty much. If you collect summer editions or you collect Issey Miyake's, looks pretty good sitting next to all the other bottles that they put out. The fragrance itself, though, forgettable. It's kind of akin to Calvin Klein with their CK1 summer fragrances that come out every year. Lots of people will collect them, wear them a few times in summer that year that you pick it up, and then you kind of sit it on the shelf and never reach for it again. Now, I'm not trying to crap on this house. There are a lot of fragrances that I really like from Issey Miyake. This one I don't dislike, but I don't really like it either. It's just kind of there. If you're a big fan of Issey Miyake's summer releases, absolutely check it out. If you think that they're kind of hit or miss, you're not really into them, yeah, probably could give this one a pass. It's, again, not terrible, but it's not great either. It's just kind of there, and if you have a lot of fragrances, you'll forget this one pretty quickly. All right, that's gonna do it for me with this one. You know, it's okay. And I guess if I were gonna buy this, I'd want it in like the $25 to $30 price range, personally. All right, guys, that's gonna do it for me. If you smelled this one, let me know what you think about it below. As always, thanks for hanging out with me. Thanks for all your support, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with another fragrance video. See you guys.